Hello, and welcome to the Misty Morrison podcast. I'm your host, the wonderful Misty Morrison. So let me tell you a little bit about the podcast. Here on the Misty Morrison podcast, we have 3 different segments. We have Was I in the Wrong, which was our initial launching segment, where I read Reddit stories and give my opinion. It's mostly Am I the Asshole type stories, where people are either asking if they acted appropriately in a situation that's already passed or asking how to deal with a current situation. The next segment that we have is Petty Please, where we read stories of pettiness, entitlement, kind of Karen behavior. And then we also have What the Fluff, where I read stories. A lot of the stories will be from, tales from the front desk, tales from retail, tales from customer service, tales from tech support, those kind of stories, just where it's just unbelievable the way that people acted. So that is basically what the podcast is. I read the stories, give my opinion. While this is available in audio format, podcast only, or video on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below with your judgment on the stories or your advice. If you are listening on podcast, you can comment on socials. You can find me at Misty Morrison Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I post twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do post more Was I in the Wrong than we do of Petty Please and What the Fluff. So that's mostly the content that we have. And most of our episodes, we aim for the 20 to 30 minute mark for episodes. So it's not super short, but it is still easy to digest. Maybe it can get you through your morning or afternoon commute. I also have my own subreddit, r/Misty Morrison Podcast, where you can submit your own stories to be read on the podcast. I always try to remember to put the link to the original stories on Reddit in the description box below, in case you guys would like to read the original story for yourselves, or even better, leave a comment for the original poster or OP. If you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. And if you are listening on podcast, go ahead and leave a 5-star review if you like the content. That is our introduction, so let's get into the stories. Okay, story number 1 is coming to us from r/AITA-H. AITA-H for deciding to postpone the wedding over a comment my fiance made about my scar. I, female, have a visible scar on the side of my neck. It's been there for over 6 years and no one has ever commented on it or made any negative remarks about it. However, my fiance would make comments about my scar and make it seem as flirting, like for instance complaining he has kissed every part of my body except my neck because of the scar, and how the scar, quote, looked like a kid messed up such a great art, referring to my look, end quote, etc., etc. I told him I didn't appreciate it even if he was using the scar to be flirty with me, but he insisted he loves me anyway. Our wedding is approaching and I've been busy with the wedding planning, and days ago my fiance and I and in-laws were talking about the wedding, and he was talking about how we're going to finally be married. He laughed and said, "I'm marrying you minus the scar." I was stunned when he said that, especially in front of his family. I was so upset, I got up and walked out of the room. We had a big fight and he kept saying I was being a drama queen and that he said nothing wrong. He doubled down when I said I'd consider postponing the wedding because of his comment, and he called me crazy. His mom said that I'm obviously traumatized by my scar to let it ruin my marriage with her son, and suggested therapy. She told me that the scar was the issue, not her son, who loves me as I am and chose me to be his wife. I don't know. I really feel horrible right now. I don't know if I said the right thing about postponing the wedding and whether I'm overreacting in this situation. My girlfriends have previously said that my fiance shouldn't even be bringing up the scar like that. Okay, that one is from 1 day ago when I'm recording, and it already has 13,000 upvotes, so it has been popular. Am I the asshole for deciding to postpone the wedding over a comment? No. Honestly, this should have never gotten this far. it seems like he has a problem with the scar. And regardless of how he feels about it, if he really loved you despite the scar, like did not have a problem with the scar, he wouldn't be bringing it up after you already told him that it makes you uncomfortable. This is just really weird behavior, and especially when he's like, I'm marrying you minus the scar. He's not, though, because you can't have it removed. So I don't get where he's coming from with that. But this is weird. I don't think you're wrong to postpone the wedding. I do think it is unfortunate that it got this far. Hopefully you can work through it, but if he's telling you you're crazy, his family is saying you're overreacting, and you're the only one who needs therapy because you're traumatized by it, I don't know that's going to work long term, because I feel like these people are long term going to gaslight you, and he's always going to be right about everything. So I do hope you postpone and take the time that you need to really think about the situation and the way that he's acted about the scar for the last few years. Yeah. You're not wrong. You're right, OP. Good luck with this one, because it is messy. Okay, this one's not an asshole question, but it looks good, so we'll read it. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/True Off My Chest. I gambled with my girlfriend's money and lied about it. My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. She's responsible with money, and I am too. Last week I was dead broke, but had this parlay that I was absolutely convinced would hit. I made up some bullshit about needing $100 for a work expense that would be reimbursed. She didn't hesitate to transfer the money. I feel like such a piece of shit typing this out. Anyway, I placed the bet, and against all odds, it actually hit. $5,000 payout on a $100 bet. I was ecstatic, but immediately realized I had a problem. How do I explain suddenly having all this cash? Instead of coming clean, I bought her a $1,200 designer handbag she'd been eyeing for months. Told her I'd been saving up for it as a surprise. She was over the moon, crying and everything. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there feeling like the biggest fraud. I've put the rest into savings, but I can't shake this guilty feeling. Every time she uses the bag and thanks me for being so thoughtful, I feel worse. The relationship is built on trust, and I've completely violated that. Part of me wants to come clean, but I know she'd be devastated to learn I not only gambled, but lied about it. What started as a harmless lie has turned into this whole facade. I genuinely love her and hate that I've betrayed her trust like this. I know the right thing is to tell her, but I'm terrified of losing her. I've stopped gambling since this happened, but the damage is already done. Okay, OP, Okay. My first thought I wanted to interrupt the story with was, how do I explain suddenly having all this cash? Just don't spend it. Don't go buy a $1,200 designer handbag. If you wouldn't have gone out and bought big things with the big amount of money, she never had to know that you had any money. But getting down to the bottom, you realize you did something wrong, and I'm really proud of you for just pretty quickly realizing that you did something wrong, you handled things poorly, and you're kind of going down a rabbit hole by continuing to lie about it. Especially since you bought this $1,200 designer bag, you can't return it. And that's really probably going to put a dark cloud over that bag when you tell her about this, when you come clean, because it sounds like you're going to. Yeah, she's not going to be able to look at that bag the same way again. And maybe gambling's not a big deal to her. Maybe, this is the first dishonest thing you've done. It was $100 initially. It's not the biggest blip on the radar. Maybe it can blow over pretty easily. Yeah, I think, obviously you were wrong in what you did. You already know that. And definitely my recommendation would be to just sit her down, tell her the truth, apologize, just hurry up and get it out of the way before it gets worse. All right, story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITA-H. AITA for not letting my 16-year-old go on spring break without adult supervision. I, 40 female, have a 16-year-old daughter who wants to go on a spring break trip with 3 of her friends. 2 18-year-olds and 17-year-old. It's roughly a 12-hour drive and there would be no adult supervision going with them. I've explained to her it's not about not trusting her, it's about not trusting everybody else in the surroundings she would be around. I've already said no, and that won't change. But she's convinced that the internet will be on her side. And I'm not being fair. So while the answer will still be no, I told her I would hear out the internet parents / college age kids that will agree with me and explain she shouldn't be going on a spring break trip at 16. Let's see. Yeah. No, you're not the asshole. You're right. I am really impressed that even though your answer is not changing and you've been upfront about that, I'm really impressed that you went ahead and made the post anyway, basically just to humor her. And I do think it will probably be helpful for her when you show her the thread after to see all the other people's opinions and why they're like, no, this is a bad idea. I don't normally read a lot of the comments, but the first comment that's on here is, not the asshole. I was a very responsible 16-year-old, and I still wouldn't trust a cluster of perfect copies of myself. And that makes sense. Yes, you know your daughter, you trust her. You don't necessarily know all the people that she's going with very well. You don't know where they're going, especially to be 12 hours away where like you can't just show up in 30 minutes to go pick her up if something were to go wrong. So, totally agree with you. Great call. And I love that you went ahead and made the post. Let's see. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/relationship advice. My 21 female boyfriend, 22 male, keeps accidentally calling me ugly, and I don't know how to stop feeling hurt. Oh, I've forgotten to give you guys my initial reaction this whole time. My initial reaction for story number 4, you should not feel hurt. That's hurtful. Like, if he's not accidentally calling you ugly. If he's calling you ugly, it's because he thinks so. For some reason, in some way or another. So let's read the story. My boyfriend, 22 male, and I, 21 female, have been together for 2 years and have been living together for a little under 1 year. Overall, our relationship is good, but something keeps happening that's really starting to wear me down. Yesterday, I wanted to look nice for him when he got home. I kept my makeup simple, just lip gloss, liner, and mascara. I usually wear glasses, but I decided to wear contacts instead. When he walked in, the house was dimly lit. The first thing he said was that my face looked crazy. I get that the dark lipstick, pale face, and the lighting might have looked dramatic, but that still wasn't the reaction I expected. Feeling a little defeated, I went to the bathroom to take my lipstick off. He followed me to get a better look at my face under the light. Instead of complimenting me or even just dropping it, he started analyzing my face. He told me he didn't like the lip liner, saying my lips looked bad when they were overlined. Not wanting more criticism, I started wiping it off. He kept staring at me, trying his hardest to figure out where else I've altered my face, and eventually asked what was wrong with my eyes and why they looked so weird. He even started wiping at my skin, saying my eyes looked dark. I will never forget the expression of what almost felt like disgust. At this point, my confidence was through the floor. I really tried not to cry, but it happened anyway. I told him that's just what my natural face looks like. I've been dealing with some medical issues and poor sleep. He knows this. He immediately apologized when he realized he had hurt my feelings, but the damage was already done. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. The first time wasn't as bad because it was something I could fix. He told me my sideburns were too long, so I started shaving them. But this time it felt different. This isn't something I can fix about myself overnight, or ever really. I don't think he's trying to hurt me on purpose, and I worry that I'm just being too sensitive. It is a very well-known fact that I am overly sensitive at times, and have held on to feelings far longer than I should have. Would it be unreasonable for me to ask him to no longer comment on my appearance? How do I stop feeling so hurt when he does this? Edit. Hello, thank you for the quick replies. I just wanted to add a few details that I think might clarify the situation a bit more. Boyfriend never referred to me as ugly, just the comments above. I do think it is important to note that boyfriend does fall on the autism spectrum, so there are times where I feel our goals and our interactions do not line up. I did ask him what he thought about my looks when he first came home. Okay, good clarifications. I'm glad he didn't outright say the word ugly, because that's different. I generally don't wear makeup. If I do, it's pretty much just lipstick and mascara. That's it. And I remember there was one day I put on, I did winged eyeliner. It turned out really cute. And my husband thought I looked different. And my son asked me, he said, why do my eyes look wet? Because he'd probably never seen me with makeup, noticeable makeup, before I did that. So yeah, if you normally do your face a certain way, whether that is a full face every day or no makeup every day, if you change something really noticeable about the way you do your makeup, people notice. That's fine. That's fair. He definitely did not go about it well. And you did say he's on the autism spectrum, so it could be, a social cues thing. Yeah, but I like that he did apologize once he realized he hurt your feelings. And I think that shows that he didn't mean anything bad by it. He wasn't trying to make you change yourself. He just didn't realize what his comments were doing. Yeah, so your question is, I don't know how to stop feeling hurt. If that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. You can just stop feeling hurt because you want to. I think, maybe you can just have the conversation, when this happened, when you did this is how it made me feel. As far as asking him not to comment on your looks anymore, I think that's a really broad statement. I think when you're having the conversation, part of it could just be, let's not overanalyze my looks anymore. If you see something different, just don't say anything. Don't comment about it. I would hate for you to tell him, don't comment on my looks anymore, and then him be afraid to tell you you're pretty or something. So yeah, that's I hate that happened, but I truly don't think he meant anything malicious by it. Yeah, so that one, not a mess, not right, not wrong, just neutral. All right, story number 5 is coming to us from r/AITA_WIBTA_public. AITA for breaking up with my boyfriend after he set me up for a loyalty test. And this one's been updated since the original post 2 days ago. And breaking up in the title is in quotation marks. Initial reaction based on the title, no, you are not wrong for breaking up with someone who put you through a loyalty test. I don't like that. Okay. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 28 male, for over a year now. Our relationship has been amazing until one day he decided to put me through a loyalty test for a YouTube video. The entire test felt completely real. The entire time I didn't flirt and made it clear I had a boyfriend, despite the decoy's multiple advances. Then, all of a sudden, the whole crew came out. My boyfriend, in particular, was smiling and happy. When the YouTuber told me that this was a loyalty test and that I had passed, I sat there confused and stayed silent. When my boyfriend tried to hug me, I pushed him away and walked off. I was completely shocked and humiliated. I knew this was going to be on YouTube, so I didn't want to react the way they probably wanted me to, yelling, crying, making a scene. I simply said the relationship ended the minute you decided to put me on a loyalty test. My boyfriend tried to stop me, saying I was being dramatic and that I had no reason to be mad since I had passed. That just made me angrier, and all I wanted to do was go home. The next day, he called wanting to talk in private, which I agreed to. However, he had already told his friends, our mutual friends, and my own family about the situation. During our conversation, he would call them or pull up their text messages so they could back him up. They all said I was overreacting and that I should be happy because now that he knows I would never cheat, we can finally settle down and be together. Yes, I love him and I've considered that in the future, but I felt completely invalidated. In my opinion, loyalty tests are a lose-lose. Either you cheat or you don't, but either way, it proves that your partner doesn't trust you. I was completely confused because I thought I had given him zero reason to doubt me. So when I asked him why he did this, he admitted that it was only because his ex had cheated on him multiple times in the past with her coworkers. This meant he had lied, because he had told me their breakup was mutual and drama-free. Also, I never realized he had trust issues because I'm such a homebody and work from home. Now that I recently got a new job and was leaving the house more and meeting new people, it put me in the same situations and settings his ex had been in. At the end of our conversation, he asked if we were breaking up, and I told him I needed space. That was 2 days ago, and I'm still being bombarded with people saying I'm being irrational for being mad about this. The only thing he has said in those 2 days was that because I passed, I shouldn't even worry about the video coming out since they only post the fails, as if that was my concern. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I need some outside opinions because everyone around me is making me feel like I'm crazy for being upset. So, AITA for breaking up with my boyfriend over this? Update. I took a lot of y'all's suggestions, including showing my friends and family this post, but everyone told me I should just take it down because it was a violation of his privacy. The only people who apologized were his brother and my dad. His brother told me he wanted to talk because there was something he needed to get off his chest. That's when he said that my ex had actually been frequently loyalty testing me, not just for YouTube, and that he has probably done this in all of his past relationships. He even gave me the number of my ex's former girlfriend, the same one my ex claimed had cheated on him, because she wanted to talk to me. Last night we spoke and she told me she had heard about what happened and wanted to warn me to stay far away from him. She said she never cheated on him at all. In reality, their relationship ended because she found out he was the one who cheated multiple times with multiple people. When she found out, she went through his phone and discovered that he recorded a lot of their conversations, lied about where he worked, including his work trips, has at least 4 working phones, is probably lying about 500 other things. When she got caught looking at his phone, he completely flipped. He broke up with her, and she moved to another city in less than a week later. I took this up with my mom for help, and she said I shouldn't jump to conclusions and that I should talk to him, even though I didn't want to. This morning, she still went ahead and told him everything I'd said and asked him to talk to me. I agreed, and the entire conversation went exactly how it went the first time. He swore she was lying, so when I showed him the text messages, he said it was all for work. Obviously, I didn't believe him and just walked away. After an hour, he apologized, admitted he was sorry, and that he was lying about most things, which I didn't believe. But he insisted that we should look past all of this and move on because we love each other. You would think that after all of this, people would see my side, but I'm still not in communication with my family right now. Thanks to everyone who gave their opinion. It was incredibly eye-opening, and all I want to do is move forward with my life. Well, after the update, I think she made her decision. We really don't need to give her our opinion, but we will anyway. So, no, you are right. You are not the a-hole. Yeah, I hate loyalty tests. Like, you either can move past anything, you can either move past your own past and trust her, or you don't. Like, you do or you don't, and I think it's that simple. I don't think a loyalty test is right for lots of reasons. but especially because it's set up. Like, it probably, I know you're trying to resemble a real life situation, but it doesn't. And constantly testing someone is really unfair. I just 100% wholeheartedly disagree with loyalty tests. And yeah, I'd probably do the same thing. So I'm glad that you walked away from this relationship. I'm really sorry for you that for some crazy reason everyone took his side. That's really crazy to me. I hope they come around. I hope he lets more of his true colors show. And everyone else realizes that they were wrong for backing him up. But you are right, and I hope you can find a more honest, stable person in the future. All right, and that is all for us today. That was 5 stories on episode 10 of Was I in the Wrong on the Misty Morrison podcast. All the links are down below. You can leave your comments for the original posters on Reddit, and you can leave your comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, or leave your thoughts on the socials when I post the links there if you're listening on podcast. So that is all for us today, and I will see you next time. Bye.